In psychology, there's a special term called Adderley syndrome, which refers to the unhealthy obsession of one person with another. The affliction got its name from the youngest daughter of the famous French writer, Adélie Hugo. She was very attractive and a talented pianist, but her unrequited love affected her mental state. As a result, she poisoned her own life and her lover's, who spent years pursuing her, pretending to be his wife, then ruined his career and personal life. Unfortunately, Adele spent 43 of her 84 years in a psychiatric hospital. It's worth noting that it's not uncommon for someone to be overly interested in or even obsessed with another person to the point of losing control of their emotions. In most cases, an experienced psychologist can help, but sometimes hospitalization and more thorough therapy are required. However, in some cases, such obsession borders on insanity, pushing a person to desperate, unpredictable, and extremely cruel actions. The case of Emma Ljungst in 2008, a case in Sweden, made headlines around the world. It was one of the most brutal in the history of Swedish forensic science. The perpetrator was deemed insane, and the case was even closed due to a lack of hard evidence. However, the truth came out in court. Emma Ljungst was an immature young family. She was born in Stockholm on February 16, 1985, and spent her childhood and adolescence there. She grew up in a simple family, the younger of two daughters. She and her older sister, Katarina, were raised together. At 19, she married Nicholas, a young man she'd been dating since high school. He was not much older than she was, and at the time of their marriage, the bride was already expecting a child. In 20 years, Emma became a mother, giving birth to a son, Max. A year later, she gave birth to a daughter, Saga. A little over a year later, she gave birth to a second child, a daughter named Saga. Despite the arrival of two heirs, the couple was still too young and unprepared for the challenges of family life. They frequently argued over minor issues, struggled to communicate, and eventually decided to separate shortly after Saga's birth. The custody arrangement, which was highly contentious, involved not only financial support for the children, but also to take a direct part in their lives and upbringing. Emma wasn't against it, but she soon started seeing someone new. She moved to a small town called Arboga, about 150 kilometers from Stockholm, with her new lover and took the children with her. The ex-husband didn't want to be left out though, because he wanted to be able to see his daughter and son every day. Ex-spouses met in court a lot to settle the matter, and Nicholas even threatened Emma, Emma immediately reported the issue to the police. It was clear that the problems couldn't be solved peacefully, and each parent began seeking sole custody. Emma met a guy named Tony Helberg online. They quickly found common ground, got close, and started a romantic relationship. The young man wasn't fazed by the fact that the 23-year-old girl already had two heirs from a previous marriage. He had long dreamed of a family and was ready to. The newlyweds first lived in a small house that Tony inherited. When they got married, they moved to a larger house where they could live comfortably, and each child would have their own room. At that time, the man had a good job with a decent salary. Emma was raising small children and creating a home, but she was also going to work in the future. She was a designer by education. The couple had planned to get married in the summer of 2008, but things didn't work out that way. On March 17, 2008, it was just another Monday. Tony went to work early in the morning, and Emma stayed home with their kids, Max, age 3, and Saga, age 1.5. In the evening, Emma was making dinner, waiting for her fiancé to return. Emma was chatting online with her sister, Katarina, discussing a gift for their parents' upcoming wedding anniversary. At about 6:30 in the evening, Emma received a call from Tony, warning her that he was late for work. He said they could start dinner without him. After the brief phone conversation, Emma continued with her household chores, fed the children, and then sat down at the computer again, continuing to text with her sister. At 07:07 p.m., their communication was abruptly interrupted. Katarina thought it was strange because she saw her sister typing a message but never sending it. 5 minutes later, Katarina called Emma but got no answer. She called Tony to find out what happened. He was on his way home and just approaching the house. He told Katarina that Emma was probably distracted by the kids. He said he'd call her back as soon as he could. When the man arrived at the door, he was surprised to find it unlocked. When he went inside, he immediately noticed the mess, thinking the kids had made it while playing, but then he saw brown stains on the floor. realizing with horror that it was blood. Helberg called Emma and the kids' names loudly several times, but no one responded. In the hallway on the floor, the man saw something strange on the floor. At first, he thought it was a doll because the figure was lying in a strange pose. As he got closer, he realized it was Saga in a pool of her own blood. Her head and face were badly damaged and covered in blood. A little farther away, he found her brother in a similar state with a fractured skull. Their mother was also lying on the floor, covered in blood and in an unnatural posture. Her face was clear that they had all been badly hurt. Tony was shocked and immediately called the emergency number to report what had happened. At that moment, Emma let out a loud groan. Police officers and paramedics arrived quickly and found a weak pulse in all 3 victims. They began resuscitation right away. The scene was horrifying. No one could understand what kind of beast had done this.